Even though right now it might be at 10 trillion, and back here maybe it was at 1 trillion, the fact is more money was put into the system, and prices went up. So the 10 trillion is actually now worth less than 1 trillion back then. They aren't the exact figures. I didn't.
Yeah, they aren't the exact figures. That's right. Thank you very much.
Look up what it was in 1950s, but I did look at the percentage of the GDP, so you can calculate that if you know one of the variables. Again, we're just discussing concepts here. The point is, we're significantly better off now than we were in the 1950s. If you're looking at...
No, we're not. It's a stupid argument. We're much worse off, okay? Because now we have huge liabilities and no capacity, no economic strength to pay for them with, and certainly no free oil.
At public debt. So amendment says that all this debt's getting poured in back here. I mean, where is all this real debt coming from? I mean, we're paying off public debt. So I guess that what you're assuming here is there's a bunch of private debt getting piled up.
No, I gave you my assumptions. I pointed out, no, there's private debt too. Okay, but then you say we're paying off our national debt. We're not paying it off. We haven't paid it off since we started creating it. And to say that you can just ignore it because we've inflated it into meaninglessness is stupid.
Okay, and if you're doing this wall as something that was built up and it eventually has to be paid for, you know, maybe I missed the whole fucking point of your argument. Maybe I thought you were talking about the whole economy, and you said that all this that's being built up and we're just going to come down to a big crash. Because of all this public and private debt that we're just not paying for. You talk about...
Yeah, it's inflation. It is a devaluation of the dollar that we haven't paid for. We haven't had real inflation. We keep avoiding real inflation by creating and printing and controlling the monetary system based on an inflation number. So we have artificially avoided the inflation impact of printing more fucking money, and that disaster is sitting there waiting to fall on us.
Delusion of prosperity. So I'm assuming that's what you mean. But what's really happening is, yeah, private debt was getting built up. It was getting pushed over here because the housing bubble was just a ridiculous overpricing of housing. Now that price is getting reflected back to its real value, because prices used to increase with the rate of inflation of homes, but recently in the last decade or so they've been going up a lot faster than inflation, and that just makes no sense because the house isn't getting more valuable. It was just people putting these expectations on it and buying a bunch of shit they just couldn't afford.
Yeah, now see, how exactly did the housing market do that? It did that because they didn't count housing. They didn't count those numbers when they decided what the real inflation number was. So we'd get this little bogus number from the government based on what they put into the little stupid basket and said this is what real inflation is because we put 13 items into our shopping basket. We're going to tell you what inflation is. So the real inflation in the real world was much higher than we were being told. So we had this artificial perception that everything was going fine when it wasn't. Our wages were stagnating, are even going way backwards in the real world, and be based on the amount of real money that was in the goddamn economy.
So, and they were doing that on debt that they couldn't afford to put on debt. So yes, that was getting built up and they had to pay that off. They didn't pay that off because they couldn't afford it. The banks were making stupid decisions, and I would blame the bailout on the homeowners and the banks. But the homeowners are really, I mean, people are just blaming the rich. And the rich were...
Yeah, the rich who what? How much money did the rich, how many trillions did the rich make off engineering that system? How long did they ride the train up before they decide now to jump off? Okay, so, and how much did they glean out of that racket?
Greedy, yes. We have a minute left. The rich were greedy, yes. But the homeowners went in there knowing they couldn't pay this off, knowing they shouldn't buy a $1 million house making $40,000 a year, and they went ahead and they said, all right, fine, whatever, give me the loan. Let me just sign the dotted line. Let's get me in this house today. And the banks are stupid enough to let that happen, okay? Both parties are equally to blame there. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and they're equally to blame because why? Because people could say, well, look, even if I don't pay for it, okay, I get to live in it for a couple of years, And that's your fucking problem, right? I mean, that's what it basically comes down to, because we've given everybody, including the corporations, exemption from their liabilities.
Stupid loans, they inflated the price of housing, like you said. Not the whole economy inflated, just the housing market. And they couldn't pay it back, so now government has to come in and bail these companies out, because if they don't, it's going to be a Great Depression.
No, there's going to be a Great Depression because of the train riders, the people who invested in all these bad, these evil schemes that were based on debt, which created a fake gross domestic product, which created a completely fake economy. It was completely built on phony stimulus, phony money injected that had to be paid back sometime in the future. So they mortgaged the future, they lived high, and now we're going to pay for it.
Markets, you don't like how the economy's working right now, and you somehow think you have a better idea. So I'd like to hear your idea, man. Tell me what your idea is.
Oh, fuck you. All right. I mean, I got 1,000 videos. Obviously, you haven't taken much. You haven't tried to find out what my ideas are. But if you go to my channel page, there's solution videos and talk some in there. But look, it's not that complicated. My idea is to create an economy where, yeah, you just get rid of the controllers. Okay? Let the fucking company run the company. All right, they don't need CEOs, they don't need owners. The company can run the company. You put it, and you just limit the amount of money the company can make. You just essentially create non-profit businesses. The government should invest in them. The businesses will succeed or fail. They can pay the government back. Period. Then also, I get rid of the whole idea that the control of the economy is something you can give away or is inheritable. That's just crap. It's bullshit. It's nonsense. It's insane. It's completely unproductive to give people free rides. That's just stupid for no reason. None. There's no reason.
You said that you don't like. You said, well, we must have more than two choices. It's not just capitalism, not just communism. All right, fine, granted. There are some shades of gray of the two opposite economic systems that can be reached. You can combine them in some way, and every economy does. There's no completely free economy in the world, and there's no completely command economy in the world. So yeah. If you have some sort of better system that nobody else has thought of yet, then why can't you tell us what your system is? What's your plan?
Yeah, well, fuck you. I mean, I got 1,000 fucking videos. Did you watch them? So fuck you. I mean, that's just a stupid thing to say to me. It really is stupid. Why can't I? You didn't ask me, number one. It's not an issue of can't, you dumb fucker. I can draw the blueprints. That's what I'm doing basically with these videos, is drawing the blueprints. So anyway, this is the second time I had to do this video, so I'm just going to cut out some of this shit because it's just a waste of time. So I'll try to just focus on the pertinent points.
I'd like for you to explain to me what a better way to do it is than I've been describing, because that's what's happening right now. I mean, what do you want? You want tighter regulation? Is that what your plan is? You want to steal from the rich and give it to the poor? Like,
no, I want to steal from the idle rich who did nothing to inherit their money. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I want to steal from them and give back to the people who did the productive work. Okay, in the first place, the productive work that created the value that they stole. So I want to undo the crime, not commit the crime, bastard.
Explain to me what your new plan would be, because I'm sure that
incentive economics is what I basically call it. But yes, you have a system where you pay people progressively for doing more work and to have more value added to their work. So if they're doing something that takes years of education, they obviously should get paid more money. We go on the list. But that the range of salaries would be something like, for my standards, I think going from some base pay with around $35,000 a year for showing up for an 8-hour-a-day job is the grotesque minimum, and then the grotesque maximum would be something like $200,000. And in that salary range, that's where everybody would exist. Okay, there'd be no owners, there'd be no anything else. There would be people who would be paid to run the business, and they'd be paid a decent salary to do that. It's not goddamn brain surgery. It's not, and it certainly isn't something you're going to get, the Einsteins, you don't find Einstein by just saying, oh, well, it fell out of a rich man, so it must be an Einstein. That's not really how it works, and you've got to know that. So you would have to earn your position in society. You'd have to actually do meritorious work and demonstrate competence to be able to make that maximum salary.